say, luxurious Heat Nation. Yeah. Mercy and Lago. Down to Biscayne.
Yikes. 5 on the floor. Ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frauds.
Down to Biscayne.
Kept the flow playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, it's power, have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to 5 on the Floor. I know this sounds a little different. Ethan's up in Vegas still. Greg's getting the night off, so me and Alex are just kind of talking over the Summer League game tonight. And I'm taking over the hosting. So we just want to kind of go through what happened in this game. We know what the big subject is. I feel like the last 17 podcasts have been about one specific player, and that's Kel'el Ware. But this one's going to be probably a little bit of a more positive note. So we're going to get into that at the moment. Before we do, let's give a quick shout out to our Discord, Off the Floor. A bunch of different chats. We have the host updates. We have where we just kind of give our updates. Ethan and Greg kind of give their inputs on different information they're getting. Me and Alex kind of give our inputs on more of the basketball stuff. We have a bunch of different people commenting in there, but we have all the different chats, draft ones, Heat ones, off-season ones. So it goes down the list. So just make sure you kind of check the description, check the link. And $2.99 for the month. Back to the episode. Let's start with Kel'el Ware. I mean, I feel like everything we've seen about Kel'el Ware has been about the effort thing. It's about negativity. It's been about how he's going to respond to just all of these comments. And my original take on it today was like, I felt like he was going to have a big game. It just, when he was like, when somebody tells you need to pick up your effort, I mean, it's a lot easier to do it. I know he can get to this. It's more about the consistency of him doing it. So, like, this part of it wasn't surprising. He ends up filling up the stat sheet with 21 points, 8 of 14 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, 9 rebounds. There were some things, I mean, I still look at that I think could have been better. But overall, you just want to see the offensive aggression that you saw in that first quarter. So let's just get to it quick. Just what were your overall thoughts of kind of his approach and his effort levels tonight?
I don't know how quick I'm going to be able to be on this because I've been thinking about this. I've been simmering on Kel'el for a little bit now because I have conflicting feelings on not only what I've been seeing, but what happened tonight. I love, right? Like if you're a Heat fan, right, in general, like you got to love that he came out with an energy of like, okay, I'm trying to respond. I want to respond to all the stuff, right? Like Spo talking about me in public, which is something that you don't see, right? It's not something that Spo does on a regular basis by any means, right? All the talk that's been happening with media, with fans, I think him wanting to respond and wanting to remind people why he made an all-rookie second team, that energy is good, right? That's a good thing. There's no doubt about it. But honestly, he showed me a lot of stuff that I already knew he was capable of. And I'm not trying to take away from what he did because it's a good game. I'm like, it's obviously a good thing for him to be a guy who can go out there and be productive doing what he does. That's what you want him to do, right? Like, I don't want to take away from that part. It's a good thing. Like, but they started off with like running plays for him right from the start of the game. Something that I really have liked from him and just in general since he's been on the team is he has like low-key really, really good paint touch. And I think you got to see some of that showcased. Even with like, him being so skinny and having a hard time leveraging people on the post sometimes, like creating position. Once he is in position, he has great touch down there. I think it's about getting to that position first. Like that stuff is great. Like I really think he has awesome touch. He is obviously a great lob threat. And he can hit an open three every now and then. He's not a shooter, but he can hit an open three. And so that's where I get to my next point here. He is right now, to me, an offense-heavy player as far as his impact on the floor. on defense, like, and by the way, like, the passing is not something that I ever thought like would be like this. Like, he's pretty good. He makes pretty quick passes. Like, I want to give him a lot of credit there, right? Like, I think right now on offense, the vision is there. Like, I see the type of player he can be. On defense, the blocks, that's great. I love that he can get blocks, but so many of the same issues that I've had with him are still there. It was still there. So I'm glad he put energy into wanting to have a big game. I wish he put that same energy into the little things. So that's why I wanted to do this whole thing, because I don't want to come out and people think that I'm hating on Kel'el because, I want to stick to my opinion that he needs to be better. Frankly, I still think he doesn't set physical screens. I think he kind of like when he's setting a screen, it's like he's like he's just checking off the box because he knows that's what he's supposed to do. But when he's actually setting the screen, it's not very physical. And I feel like if you're not setting a physical screen, what's the point of that? You're just wasting time on the clock. You didn't really accomplish anything, right? On defense, he loves to overplay, overcommit to the guard, and sometimes go for a block when it's not necessary, and will leave a dump down pass to the big wide open, or it results in a putback. It's usually one of those two things. He's super like thirsty for the block as well. It's just these are the things that I really wanted to see him clean up, and I just have not seen that yet. And again, I feel like sometimes a broken record when I talk about him, because he is so productive still sometimes, despite all of these things. And it's for better or for worse, because it's like I feel he has these bad habits that you want to work out of him, but then he's getting these productive games, and it's like, is he getting the right lessons out of this? That's what I'm kind of looking at with Kel'el. It's like, can you be more disciplined when guarding the pick and roll? Can you not go so crazy for the blocks? Can you set physical screens? Like, I know these sound like things that are just like so small to certain people, but like these are things that are fundamental to his position, to his role that he's playing. This is not like asking, I don't know, like Devin Booker to do these things. This is like Kel'el Ware is the screen and roll big at this point, right? And that's what he's going to be. He needs to be good at the things that are fundamental to his job. That is my take. So like, I'm glad that he can be so productive. I need him to be a little bit better at the smaller things. And by the way, he still doesn't box out consistently. That's honestly, that might be the biggest problem. So like, again, he is so productive and still so talented. And I don't mean to sound like I'm just talking down on him all the time, but I'm less like it. I would feel so much better about the big stats if he was also just doing a better job at like playing with force, not only when he's going down low to seal because he knows he's going to get an opportunity to score, but also when he has to go set the screen, when he has to go just in general, like do the dirty work stuff, like in the boxing up, the rebounding stuff, the technique there. He has a long, long way to go. Guys are constantly getting in front of him. Rebounding is not about who's taller, and he seems to think it is sometimes. He tries to get everything with his arms. The lower body, it's not where it needs to be strength-wise, but at the same time, he's not doing the work either, like on the court to get position. It's not going to work. He's getting like another game. Obviously, it's not all on him, but another game where they get absolutely mauled on the offensive glass. It's not all Kel'el Ware's fault, but I'm just saying in general, like you can't get away with it even in the summer league. What makes you're not going to get away with that in the NBA? And I promise you, with the way Spo is talking, if these things don't get cleaned up, don't be surprised if like stuff changes with his role and people are just asking for more minutes, because Spo has a smaller leash with him if he doesn't, like polish some of these things up, and it's just, continues to make some of these same mistakes. So I'm going to pass the ball back to you now, because that was like way too long of an ice. So I had like 7 shot clock violations, but I just wanted to make my point on Kel'el as clear as possible.
So there's a couple of things about Ware that you were mentioning that has me thinking. Defensively, that's been the number one thing I've wanted to see from him, just in summer league in general, is getting those reps. The blocks are fine, but the one thing I wanted to see him improve on, and you mentioned it there, is not jumping as much, not getting off his feet, staying grounded. It's just he's just a big man that has a long wingspan that he doesn't need to get off his feet most of the time. He's able to stay grounded with his feet up, with his hands up in the air, straight up. That's good enough. Like that should be his way of kind of generating contests. And a lot of times there was unnecessary block attempts where it almost puts you out of position for a
He
defensive
had
rebound.
one with 1 second left on the shot clock and
Right.
had a foul.
But even if you don't foul there and you're jumping out, it leads to an offensive rebound or something. That's kind of the problems in between. So we've hit on a lot of the stuff that was bad, but I do want to mention some of the stuff that was good with him in this game. There was one specific thing that I liked from him, where the first play of the game, he gets kind of the 2 games in a row, he gets that little cross screen baseline play that they run for Bam. He gets the mid post touch, he dribbles inside to the middle of the floor. Usually that's like a long hook shot, push shot. And he did it there and he did it later in the game where instead of taking that shot, he dips his left shoulder in and then just led to a much easier shot. It's almost like dropping it in way closer to the rim. It was just a much easier shot. He did it later in the game as well, where he had a mismatch. He dribbled inside instead of just he had a clear opportunity and he kind of ended up with an and one. He like dropped it in off glass where I just want to see him not settling. I want to see him able to kind of just punish those type of mismatches and be strong. And if he does put on more size, if he does put on more strength, those moves are even better. Like that's kind of taking it to the next level. And I did see the effort level on a lot of the rolls much better than they've been compared to the last couple of games. Like he at least was sprinting off a couple of slips. And I'll say the last thing I want to say on Kel'el Ware is the whole point of Summer League for me, for him offensively, I just want to see him get threes up, honestly. Like like selfishly, I just like, this is the time to do that. This is the time to just take a bunch of spot up threes. And the 2 he hit in this game, I thought were just really clean. Like he caught it and just flew right into it where there was no thinking, no hesitating. He like, that's the key for him. When he just lets it fly, it usually looks good. It's when he's wide open, he sits there and thinks about it for a half second, that it usually the shot doesn't look as great. Those 2 threes that he had, I just thought were just really clean threes in general. So that's
scoring game. No doubt.
A great scoring game. But that's what you wanted to see from him in Summer League. He's supposed to dominate scoring. That's kind of what you've seen from Pelle Larsson. You wanted to see at that same level. So it's a good response by him. But now it's time to kind of clean up the in-between stuff. And I know that's what they're going to be working on for Miami, because as much as he was playing like a role player in the Summer League, that's what he's going to have to be around some of these key players next season, whether it's, bring Powell into the fold or Tyler and Bam. Like he has to kind of figure out the spacing part of this as well. But we have time to do that. So let's get into one of our sponsors, and that is Prize Picks. That is, if you took the over on Kel'el Ware in this game tonight, you would have been making money because he ended up with 21 points. And I believe his over-under in this game was 15.5. So I think Prize Picks was also prepared for Kel'el to kind of have a little bit of a bounce-back game. But either way, make sure to use code 5 if you sign up with Prize Picks. They will double your deposits. So let's get into some of these other guys. I mean, we've done so many of these episodes where we keep going down the roster, and I'm going to be honest, I've said this in a lot of episodes, and I don't mean to like just say this out in the open right now, but when I'm looking at that last 2-way spot, I just continue to say it's going to come from somewhere else. I like a lot of guys in this roster. I've kind of been a proponent of a guy like Javonte Cook. I think he's good. I think he's talented. But as I keep kind of trying to push, it's like I've just seen players like Javonte Cook come through Summer League for Miami, come through 2-way systems for Miami, and they just don't end up getting playing time. It's not what you need to fit in on this roster when like you need a 3 games in a row where somebody gets injured and you throw a guy in there. It's never really a player like Josh Christopher. It's never a player like RJ Hampton. It's never a player like Javonte Cook. So I continue to kind of look at this roster and say there's going to be some talent on Sioux Falls this year, but I don't know if I'd say it's kind of there's a proponent for the 2-way spot specifically. I'll say like there's a couple names like Steve Settle III. I was a little disappointed with. I thought we'd see a lot more from him offensively. He's just kind of been out there drifting. I thought with the 3-point shooting, with the upside, with the height, with all of that stuff included, I actually thought he was going to be kind of like a clear big time player for this Summer League squad. And he just hasn't really been there, lived up to that. Eric Stevenson's kind of been the one player that's probably jumped expectations. I mean, he has his ups and downs like any other player coming through this, undrafted system would, but he's got a good shot. I mean, this was another game where he put up a really efficient scoring game where 2 of 3 from 3, 4 of 6 from the field. He threw in 10 points. So like you're seeing decent performances, but I don't know if it's good enough to make the roster. So I'll just throw it at you. Is there any other players that's jumping out to you that you can see maybe making a run for, a 2-way spot or something else?
Honestly, like you basically went through the guys that have gone through my mind, and I'm with you. Like I feel like a lot of guys like have shown flashes, but nobody has stood out to the sense to the degree where you're like, okay, I gotta give this guy the spots, or like I feel like, you mentioned Cook and Stevenson, those guys I feel like have done it the most, right? Where like you've seen more of their flashes. Obviously, like you mentioned, with their flaws as well. Like Cook had you know, um, he put up a donut tonight as far as scoring. He went 0 for 5 from the field after the big game he had last game. But he's been good overall. Like I think he's shown some downhill juice. He's got really nice size and length on the defensive end. He works on that end too. Like he's kind of interesting. I wouldn't be like against him getting a two-way spot, but it's not like, okay, like, oh wow, like he's really got out there, and Cook 100% is deserving of it. Even Golden, who was given that two-way already, like I again be fine if you go into training camp and he's one of your two-way guys, but it's not like he's gone out there and been like amazing every single game. Even though I really liked what I saw from him in the last game that he played, and I thought he actually outplayed Kel'el by a good bit in that game. And again, I'm really not trying to talk down on Kel'el, but it's just true. Like he just did in that game. But yeah, like I think Cook, Stevenson for he looks and shoots like Dante DiVincenzo out there. Obviously not as good as him, but just like when you watch him out there, right?
He dunks like Max Strus. I can see the comparisons.
He like it's just like the physical parts of it, like the way that the shot looks, it just reminds me of DiVincenzo. I'm obviously not saying he's going to be that, but just in general, it's obvious he is, another shooter type. So if you want just a guy, with that type of archetype, I think that's somebody you might keep around. I think the obvious thing with like where they need the most depth is at the 5-man spot, or just in general, like the front court. And I think that's why Golden probably keeps that two-way. I think Drew Smith, as long as he is going to come back, is probably going to get that two-way, and they still have a roster spot open, so technically they could give it to him. I'm not sure that's what their plan is, but like if they just don't use it, I wonder if they do that at some point. But again, like I just don't see the need to do that, because I don't think they have like so many guys. It's like, okay, I want to give like somebody else a standard because they have this guy that I want to give it to. Like I don't think they're in that position right now. I think they'll just probably do, Golden, Drew Smith, and maybe they go Cook or Stevenson. But like you said, and I think Ethan said too, like I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if there was an outside guy that they picked up to try out. Maybe they go after Jameer Nelson Jr. from the Spurs. No, I'm joking about that, but he was just like he cooked them in that one game. And I'm just obviously throwing his name out as an example, like somebody that they were impressed with that maybe didn't stick with their team, or they just offer him something better than the current team he's with. I don't know, but I think at this point, like the summer league has been a little bit frustrating, in my opinion, because of the I know we haven't talked about him in this one because he didn't have a good game. As he had a quiet game, but Kasparas, man, like another game where he had such a good one last time around, and then today back to just being a guy who will bring the ball up the court, make the first pass, and get out of the way. And I'm just not interested in that. Like I'm not interested in that for summer league ball. And the occasional times that he was getting the ball to like make a play where like somebody would screen for him, again, screens that are not physical are pointless. And I feel like it hurts the guard in that situation. And I feel like he was hurt by that to a certain degree. I'm not trying to excuse the bad stuff, because I thought the stuff I was most concerned with Kasparas was the shot. And then he had the big shooting game last game. That was the stuff I was more like, I think you could have more concerns about that. To me, like the passing, the playmaking, the being able to get to the paint, and of course the defense has been a really pleasant surprise. Like I like we knew he was a competitive defender, but wow, like he's done a better job than expected of not only competing and hustling, but actually staying there. And then he's had like the hands have been more active, I think, as like the games have gone on. He's kind of like taking more risks as far as when to try to make the play. Whereas before I felt like he was just trying to be solid. And in general, he's still solid. Like he's not out there gambling. I've been really pleased by his defense, and I think that maybe can help open up more opportunities for him to play, even though I don't expect him to be in the rotation, when the season starts. But the fact that he's able to hold up on defense makes him more playable next to starting guys, right? It's just I wanted to see so much more of the offense because I've seen, and I know I ranted about it the other day on the podcast, but they've tried so many different guys who are not guards and like point guards and put them into those positions in summer league. And I understand why. They try to get guys out of their comfort zone. But they finally draft a lottery talented like point guard, and then I just feel like they haven't optimized him. They haven't really like gotten the most out of him. And I know he'll probably get a lot of reps on the Skyforce. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that was an outcome for him, where like he spends a little bit of a portion of the season, not all season, but a portion of the season on the Skyforce. He gets big reps, like that wouldn't be surprising. But I thought this is an awesome situation for him to get those reps, especially because you've got another young guy in Ware out there who the two-man game. I thought we were gonna see a lot more of that two-man game. We just haven't. We just haven't. And that's the frustrating part. And we already went over the Ware stuff. The one really bright spot I think consistently has been Pella, man.
Yeah.
Pella, like the consistency with him just being such an aggressive driver. Like it's crazy how often he ends up on the ground. It's crazy how often he's been drawing free throws. The defense, like I love his game. Honestly, the shot, he looks a little bit more. It looks a little cleaner. He looks a little more confident with it. I'm a little bit wary to say anything else because of what we saw from Jaime last year. But I already thought like Pella was ahead of Jaime as far as the shooting. So he's been a real bright spot. I still like the flash that I saw from Kasparas. But yeah, I just, I wanted to see more, man. I wanted to see more. I feel like it was a little bit too much Kyra Lewis, a little bit too much of the other guys, not enough of the guys that are supposed to be like foundational pieces for you going forward.
So before we close, I want to ask you one more about Casper's, but before we get to that, I want to mention number one, Pella deserves his shine. I mean, he's been consistently getting shine on these post-game things just because I feel like he's played the same game every single game. Like he's had the same offensive play style, the same defensive effort, averaging 12 dive, getting on the floor, falling charges, trying to draw fouls, etc. He's just been so good. And like there was the one play where he kind of got to the right wing and like just went right into like just a pull-up three. And it has you thinking, it's like, I'm thinking about like what his role will be next season. Like he's still going to be that off-ball cutter. He's still going to kind of settle into that role, but he does feel like a player that could get a couple more on-ball reps than he definitely did last year. Because of the factor that you were mentioning, he has a real skill set to get to the free throw line and draw contact. Now, he's not going to get the whistle next season that he's getting in summer league right now. Like that's obvious. But he's not like one of these like foul grifters that's like, he just runs into you. It's Jimmy like where Jimmy would force the referee to call a foul because he just bulldozed into you like a bowling ball down the lane. And Jaime did it to an extent, but Jaime did it more measured, where it was like pump fakes, dip under, do that type of stuff. Pella's just full on running at you. And it's so hard to stop it and control your body. And he rises up on you. And it's almost every time there's going to be some type of contact. With that said, I would like them to kind of find opportunities to maybe put the ball in his hands a little bit and find opportunities just to kind of catch and go off the wing, just trying to get opportunities going to the basket next season. So I'm just curious to see what his role is like. And I wanted to segue that into Kasparas Johnson because we didn't really mention him. This was not his best game for sure. He ended up 2 for 10 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. Here's where I am with Kasparas Johnson. I know I mentioned this on a past podcast, but I want to mention it again. I'm a big fan of his defense. I'm a big fan of his athleticism. I just have a hard time trying to figure out where his role is going to be on this team other than like plug and play when, Haywood Highsmith or other guys are out, just because I just have so many question marks of what his role is in the half court offensively. Like I just do. Like it was what his question mark was coming into the NBA. I mean, he had the big shooting season in college and everybody was wondering, was it sustainable? Was he going to be able to kind of shoot at that level? And I'm kind of just watching him out there, and I don't have a ton of confidence like of him shooting at a high level off the catch spot of threes, where if he gets the PJ Tucker comparisons, like I just don't want to, they're not going to respect him in the corner enough where it's going to hurt the offense. And that's kind of where my problem is with his outlook in general. That's just where he's going to have to figure stuff out, because even not the shot, like he doesn't have the ability to kind of control on the ball and just like attack like Pella does down the lane either. he's kind of like a big man that is like PJ Tucker, where he has to kind of set the screen, get it on the short roll, and he has a little floater to him. He could do stuff in those little in between areas, but it's not like a full on offensive role. So my question marks still are there. I'd like to see more of that. With that said, the last one I wanted to ask you about Casper is because Pella, I mean, I think this was his last game, I believe, before he goes and plays with the national team with Sweden.
I think they said he's got one more, if I
He has
remember
one
correctly.
more? Okay, so he's got one more. Kel'el, I was thinking would be done around now, but I heard him in that, end of first quarter interview. I don't know if you heard that, where he kind of hinted at the fact that he would be playing a lot more, almost like where he was like, I just want to showcase this more the rest of summer league, which kind of gives me the indication that he might be playing the rest of the way. Maybe not. Maybe that's just his mindset right now because of all the stuff. But I do have a hard time believing that they would just shut him down after all those comments and wanting him to go harder. It almost feels like he will play a couple more games in summer league. If not, though, if Kel'el does end up sitting games kind of later in summer league, Pella's gone. It's probably Keyshawn and a couple of these guys. Does that give you a little more confidence with Kasparas to kind of open up kind of the shot attempts, the usage, all that stuff? The issue is with me is like, because you were mentioning a lot of the things that, Kyra Lewis or Stevenson or a lot of these guys, the reps to me haven't really been taken away from the main guys. It's kind of been the guys in between on the roster that kind of showcased themselves. That's what's kind of taken the reps away from Kasparas. But it does feel like no Pella. Pella's been a major part of the on-ball usage in the summer league. So if he's playing for Sweden and he's no longer here, I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Maybe do you think his role changes to that extent where maybe we see a little bit of a different version of it?
It's a great point for sure, because like you mentioned, Pella has had a whole lot of usage, and it's usually a signal from the Heat of a guy who's about to have maybe a more solidified role. So yeah, and I think he is much closer, even if he wasn't playing for Eurobasket, to shut him down than Kel'el is at this point. You know what I mean? Like, Pella has gone out there with the same energy, same type of like process every game, and like there's obviously he's not a perfect player by any means, but like you kind of seen what you wanted to see for the most part. Whereas with Kel'el, I'm just like, I need to see more, man. I need to see you, clean up all the stuff we were already talking about. But it's a great point that you mentioned about Pella's usage as far as how it relates to Kasparas. It's gonna open up some stuff. Now, hopefully, it doesn't only open up stuff for the other guys, right? I would like to see a lot of Kasparas on the ball, man. I really would. And on the ball, not one-on-one, because that's not what he is. He is not a one-on-one player. I don't want to see him used one-on-one. I would like to see him with real physical screen set. And again, like, I'm not trying to call out Kel'el or anything like that. It's just because he is still such a great rolling threat, even without the physical screens. That's the thing. It goes back to what I said earlier in the show. It's like he kind of gets away with it because of how athletic and tall he is. And but in general, like, I want to see just a lot of it. Like, I want to see a real sample, or as close as you can get to a sample of Kasparas playing his game, which is being a pick and roll facilitator. Like, I like that he can be a connective passer, doesn't need to be on the ball 24/7. I get that. He's not going to be a 40% usage guy in the league. He's not going to have that role. But we are here in summer league. He's a pick and roll heavy guy. I would love to see him play that game. Like, what are we here for? You know what I mean? What are we here for? So yeah, I think it's a great point by you. And man, the Pella stuff is going to be interesting this year. It's going to be interesting. I'm with you on kind of like the increased role. I think they're going to have him. The emphasis is going to be kind of what you've seen there in summer league, where it's like, hey, you're going to be our physical driver, especially like on the second side. They're not going to give him the ball just one-on-one at the top of the key, but he is going to be somebody who can just consistently, I think, drive into space. The problem is a lot of times the Heat don't have a lot of space. So I think, that's usually at the core of a lot of their issues there on offense. But in general, it's not Pella's fault. Like, Pella did a great job despite that as a rookie, So I'm excited to see what he does this season. Excited to see hopefully more from Kasparas. And man, if Kel'el could just come out there and really clean up these little things that are not that little for what he is supposed to do out there, I think that would be absolutely huge. Just go out there and set the standard, like, shut everybody up, go out there and set real physical screens, because like I appreciate the force that he puts into rolling, of the force that he puts into getting blocks sometimes, the force that he puts into like when he was trying to seal for position down low. I appreciate it. Use that force, use that energy, that effort into the other things that these people have been begging you to do. Because I know for like, if, I've been harping on this for a long time and I'm not the only one. Like I know for a fact he's hearing these things behind the scenes from all the coaches, from the coaching staff. So if he could come out there and really set the tone where like he is, checking off box after box of doing all these things right, I think that would be huge. And just you that's how you start. You kill off bad habits. You got to start somewhere and then build momentum from there, because that's what it is. It's bad habits.
And a lot of the things we're talking about with Kasparas and Kel'el are connected to spacing, but guess what? Like, get used to that, because that's going to be the case in a couple months too. I mean, I know they brought in Powell. I know there's going to be some extra shooting, but there's going to be a lot of lineups where things look a little similar, where they're going to be helping off those corners, and Kasparas is going to have to figure out. Kel'el's going to have to stick on the perimeter just a half second longer and set that screen. Like, those are the things that come into creating such a positive offense. And look, we joked around for a while about the Bam Duncan handoff stuff, and it was great. But one of the main reasons was because of the screen setting from Bam. Yeah, you're right. It was way too soon. I just save it for the Detroit podcast. But it was the screen setting for Bam. Like, it was the fact that he could free up Duncan for that half second to allow for that, where Bam could help Kel'el in that fashion, showing him that those type of screening stuff to kind of work on. And then once they get there, Casper is going to have to figure out a way when getting downhill to kind of figure out ways just to get a shot off. We know he can make the reads, but when they stay home, he's going to have to find, is it a floater? Is it, not always trying to bait for the foul, because he's not going to get those calls, as we said, like at the next level. It's about working on the finishing stuff that Adam Simon hyped up and everything else. So this is a game. I mean, look, this Heat game tonight looked like game 4 of the Heat Cavs series a month and a half ago. They lost by 20. They're back at it tomorrow, I think, at 8 o'clock against the Celtics. So we'll be back tomorrow night doing another post-game podcast, hopefully talking about more positive things about Kel'el Ware and Kasparas. Thank you guys for sticking through, because this is new hosting for me. Alex was kind of spotting up like Pella for this version of this podcast. So thank you guys for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.